Good afternoon. Thank you to everyone who's joined us so far. We appreciate you joining us during your lunchtime to talk about new homes for the near North Side development project with us. My name is Jeremiah Rivera, and I'll be helping lead the presentation and having the conversation with everyone who's joined us. Just so that everyone's aware up front, this presentation will go roughly about an hour, and it'll be split into two segments, 30 minutes of the presentation itself, and then we'll have the back end for a facilitated conversation where we'll hear from everyone that is joining us today. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to hand it over to Jean to kick off our beginning slides and introductions.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Jean Gould. I am Deputy Assistant Director for Policy and Communications for Houston's Housing and Community Development Department. We go by HCDD for short, and I hope you don't mind if I use that acronym. Want to thank each and every one for joining us during the lunch hour. I know everybody's got a busy day, but we do think this is an important development for the community, and we really want to get your input. I'm here representing the city, as is quite a few number of members of the department. We have other partners in these developments that we're going to be speaking of shortly. The Houston Land Bank has been is critical to this development, and we've had quite a few quite a bit of involvement from community leaders, including Councilmember Cisneros. And we are joined here this afternoon by her Chief of Staff, Romero Francisco. And Romero, would you like to say a little bit of some opening remarks?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of Councilmember Carlos Cisneros, thanks to the Housing and Community Development Department for hosting these meetings, and to all of the residents that are participating in this meeting today to provide your feedback and input, something that's very, very important to this first phase of this process. So thank you again.
Thank you, Romero. And to step back just a little bit, and I mentioned I'm with the Housing and Community Development Department, HCDD, and our mission is really to help serve the Houstonians' housing needs. And really, what we end up focusing on is developing, creating an equitable city where everybody has a safe and resilient homes, where with a vibrant community in which they can grow and set their life moving forward. And so our goal this afternoon is really, in this engagement process, is to get your insight and views on how we should be moving forward with these developments. And so kind of what we kind of focus on is hearing what makes a house in the near North Side community a home. And so that's what we are trying to get after from you, this engagement this afternoon. We've heard from a lot of other members in the community. We've been working kind of this outreach to the community since June, and we've got a couple more meetings, one next week. And again, looking to solicit your input. And as you'll hear shortly, we also encourage you to share this information with your friends, your neighbors, your family members, because again, we're looking to expand and get greater insights in what the community is looking for. Just a couple of housekeeping items. If you're not speaking, if we can ask that you mute your mics during the presentations, that just kind of minimizes background noises. Also, hopefully everybody's familiar with how to use the chat. So if you have comments along the way during the presentation, feel free to use that. And as Jeremiah mentioned, we're, after some brief presentations, we'll be moving into a kind of a group discussion. And that's where we'll be soliciting your input, and we'll be using the chat box for that as well. And so we've built plenty of time into this hour segment to get input from you. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back. Thank you again for your time and interest, and turn it back to Jeremiah for moving forward with the presentations.
Thank you, Jean. And let's go ahead and get right into it, everyone. I'm excited to hear the feedback we'll be hearing from the community today. So I think I took a quick look, and I think everyone is joining through the Teams app, but just to make sure, just so everyone knows, people also have the option of joining us strictly through the telephone. So I may be reading word for word a little bit more than usual, but I want to be conscious of folks who are not able to look at the screen that we're looking at together. So we'll just go and jump into the agenda for today's meeting. So we've mentioned this is kind of broken up into two different sections. So for the first half, what we'll be doing is, number one, discussing the project background together, so that we have a common understanding of the upcoming development opportunities on two different sites in the near north side. Then we'll go right into number two, the community engagement process. This is where we are right now, and this is where we can really use your help to make sure that your feedback helps inform this development. And then the last part, item three, for the first half of the presentation, we'll be discussing together some key questions. So key areas of feedback to inform the developers' proposals for the two sites we'll be discussing shortly. So the project background. So what we're looking at here is what the overall arching goal of this project background is. So in terms of homeownership programs, if you're looking at this slide, if you've seen this language before, we've drawn this very heavily from the near north side's complete communities housing goals. And so the items on the right, homeownership, create new homeownership opportunities for residents. The second bullet point, to meet community needs with matching new homes to the needs of current residents in the area. And then the third bullet item for a variety of incomes, the development providing affordable home options for low to moderate income households, and market rate options for anyone to become a homeowner. All that might sound familiar because this is feedback we've seen from the community in the complete community engagement process. So where we are in the new home development process, for those of you who are joining us on the phone, we're looking at a very general, high-level 10,000-foot view timeline. The first item was development of the sites. So in other words, where are we actually developing in the near north side? And we're going to talk about that in a little more detail in 2 or 3 more slides. Importantly, where we're at now is item number 2, gathering community feedback. And this is where we are today. What this is going to feed into is item number 3, the issue of notice of funding availability to developers, otherwise known as a NOFA. The NOFA is the playbook for potential developers to follow when they're going to submit their proposals to the city. We at the city can specify what we want to see from these proposals, like number of homes, the look and feel of those homes, and what to put into shared green spaces, pretty much anything you can think of when it comes to what makes a community feel like a community. What we're going to do is take the feedback from step 2, gathering community feedback, and incorporate as much as that we can into the NOFA. Typically, numerous developers will respond to the NOFA and submit proposals to develop each site. So we're going to go over both sites again shortly in a few slides. We're going to review those developers' proposals and then assess them based on how well each meets our criteria. So that's step 4. Once the NOFA goes out, a winning developer or developers will be selected, and then they'll begin to build homes. And then item 5, which is the exciting part, selling new homes to residents. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about the community engagement process, which is where we are. If you remember item 2, this is not the first meeting that we've had with the community. In fact, we kicked off the community engagement process with item number 1, a community kickoff I'm sorry, a city kickoff focus group. And by city, we mean City of Houston, department leadership. So to inform everyone, make sure that internally we're on the same page and that we knew we're all rowing in the same direction, in other words. In item 2, a community leaders focus group was held, and these were identified leaders from the near north side, where they helped inform us in terms of outreach strategies, where we should hold meetings, that sort of thing. And item 3 is where we are today. Quite literally, we're in the public engagement period process, which began on June 3rd and goes through July 21st. We're engaged in this process and through virtual and in-person community comment period, item 4. And on July 29th, we'll be hosting a community recap session. This will be a virtual and in-person meeting where we will detail the feedback that we've heard from the community from June 3rd to July 21st. And we'll have a little more information on how to access these meetings in a few slides. So that way you can bookmark those if you'd like. So let's transition a little bit and talk about the actual sites. For those of you that are joining us on the phone, there are 2 sites, one that we're calling the north site and one that we're calling the south site. And that's on purpose because some of the feedback we want to hear from you, the community, is whatever colloquial names you have for these sites. So the north site is currently used as a parking and maintenance facility for the Yellow Cab Company. And the south site is currently vacant, but sits next to the Burnett Transit Center on the Metro Red Line. And this is, again, for those of you who have joined us on the phone, this slide is a picture of the north site, both street level and also a satellite view. And this slide is a picture of the south site, which is, again, a street site photo and a satellite view along Burnett Street and Fulton Street. And now at this point, I'd like to hand it off to one of our partners in this whole process, Alexandria Miller, to talk a little bit more about the community engagement process. Alex?
So thanks, Jeremiah. We're happy to be here to talk with you today. As Jean said, we've been working with HCDD. I work for a firm called Asakura Robinson, and we've been helping with some of the engagement process. And so some of the different ways in which we work to inform the community, in addition to the meetings and kind of sessions that Jeremiah just covered, included working with community partners. And so that includes, actually all of you who are here today. We view everyone who's participating as a community partner. And so we've been asking everyone who participates in this process to inform and spread the word about this process so we can make sure that we gather as much feedback and are as inclusive as possible in collecting engagement about this work. Then we also have done signs, and so we've produced signage that's been placed at the key sites as well as around the neighborhood in advance of particular sessions to make sure that people are aware, especially those who are right in the adjacent areas, especially are aware that this process is going on and have an opportunity for input. And we also have done, HCDD has been posting on social media as well, so that there's opportunities for folks to share online and make sure that others, again, just spreading the word and making sure that more and more people become aware of this so we can get as much input as we can. So if we go to the next slide, the Social Pinpoint website is one of the resources that was set up through so you access this through the Housing Community Development Department's website. This is a separate website that's tailored to collect input in a variety of different ways. And so we wanted it to be bilingual, and so it is fully bilingual in English and Spanish in order to be inclusive, again, of the full neighborhood. And it has 3 different pieces. It has a map tool, a survey, and an ideas wall. So there's a variety of ways to share your input and your ideas, depending on which of those makes the most sense, or if you want to use all 3, that's also possible. And that website is mobile friendly, which was very important to us because what we know is that even if folks don't have internet necessarily that's reliable in their homes, most people do have access to a smartphone that can actually access this website. And so there's a variety of ways and a lot of different opportunities to share your input. And so this is something that if you know somebody who doesn't have time to come to one of these sessions, but you know that they're interested in this type of work, or they live nearby one of these sites, you can always share this website with them to make sure that they have an opportunity to go ahead and give us their comments. So this is just some images of the website and what it looks like. This is the map and the survey. So the map, you can use those different icons to drag your comments onto the map. And you can also, on the left is a survey that you can scroll through. It's got 4 pretty simple questions, just, that you can answer about different aspects of this work to make sure that we're getting a variety of different kinds of input as well about the development. And this is the ideas wall. So that's another way that you can use the Social Pinpoint website to comment. It enables you to upload pictures, just leave a comment. Other people can vote on those ideas so we can see which ones are the most popular, and just get a good sense of, which ideas kind of rise to the top in terms of the main input that we're receiving from the community. So Jeremiah, I think, is now going to do a demonstration of the Social Pinpoint website.
Okay, so right before we get into the Social Pinpoint site, I did want to let everyone know that we do have a landing page for all the information that we have on this project, as well as our upcoming meetings. So you can see, for example, here's the meeting that we're currently in right now. You can also see that we have another meeting on July 19th. And then our wrap-up feedback community meeting will be on the 29th at the Wesley Community Center. You can join in person or you could join online by clicking any of these buttons. Whatever makes the most sense for you is fine. And of course, we have, again, the basic information about both sites. And just through this kind of quickly. If you're so inclined, we do have options here for you to print out communication flyers. So if you want to have something share with friends and family, have a physical copy, feel free to do that. And of course, we have the Social Pinpoint links here up at the bottom of the page and up at the top here as well. I've already loaded it here. And you can see it looks a little more populated than the screenshot that we had. And to Alex's point, just going to do a very brief demonstration. And this is just to reiterate. We are taking your feedback at the end of this presentation, but if you're like me, sometimes you have ideas after a meeting, and so this is open to you 24/7 on your phone and online, PC, mobile, whatever laptop you like to use. And like Alex said, you quite literally click and drag. So I've just clicked this icon. I'm dragging it to the map. I let go, and you'll get this pop-up box where you can leave your comment. All you need to do is put in your comment here, your email address, and that's it. You can hit additional information, but after that, just hit add comment, and the website will update. And so these are real comments that folks have made. I'm just going to highlight one. I'm not endorsing. I'm just showing you this particular comment because you can see how people have interacted with it. So they left a comment here. Another thing you can do with Social Pinpoint is actually leave a picture. So if you're using your phone or your mobile device, laptop, they made a comment about the view here, and they actually took a picture of the view that they were speaking about. So the more specific feedback you give us, the more specific we can make that information in the NOFA. So just something to keep in mind. And you can see they left a comment. You can see some folks have liked it, no one's disliked it, and you can see there's been a conversation as well. People have responded to this comment. So this is a way, if you if you can't find the words that you want to put here, you can see if someone else maybe has made that comment and interact that way. Alex also mentioned the survey. If you scroll to the left here, where the hand icon is, you just click on that. Here's that survey. It's just a few questions in English and in Spanish. You write whatever you'd like to write. Put your email address and hit submit, and it's sent off. And then finally, the ideas wall. You click here. It is going to be one more additional click, just FYI for everyone. And it's going to have a very familiar look and feel if you're on Facebook or other social media sites like that. And you can click any of these icons up here. You'll see a very familiar box. You can leave your comments. And then here you have the ability to like or dislike other comments that other individuals have left. So it's fairly intuitive and again, open to you beyond this webinar that we're having today. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Alex and put the presentation back up.
Thanks, Jeremiah. So the last thing here, as we mentioned, we really would love it if you could go ahead and share we have about, I believe, Jeremiah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a little bit less than a week or about 1 week from today left, right, in our engagement, kind of when the social pinpoint will be open. Is that correct?
Yes, through the 21st.
Through the 21st, yes. So try and go ahead and share, both the information about the upcoming meetings as well as the social pinpoint link with anyone else you think may not have heard of this and wants to engage, because we are going to be closing that social pinpoint site for comment on the 21st so that we can go ahead and process all the feedback that we've received. So go ahead and get that information out to folks. The link to the project website and social pinpoint is shown here. And it's something that, if you, again, it's on the HCDD website as well. So if you want to go there, you can find it, but this is an easy link to use in order to access the website and then get to the social pinpoint as well. And if you signed in with your email address, and so Jeremiah is also pasting that social pinpoint link in the chat. Thanks, Jeremiah. And then community meetings, if obviously you've made it to this one, if you signed in and registered, then information about future meetings will be shared with you by email. And you can go ahead and also see the HCDD social media posts and use those and share those with others or on your social media feeds to make sure people become aware of this project. So the next slides that we're going to go through are just a set of key questions that we're hoping to get input on today. And I think there's really about 5 key questions that we were thinking of as we are thinking about how to design homes that really work for the near North Side. The first one is designing in context. So making sure that we really understand what characteristics give a near North Side home the look and feel that the near North Side really has, right? What are some common factors between what we might see in different types of homes, right? So we have homes that are, detached in their own big yards. We have townhomes, we have duplexes, we have fourplexes. We have a variety of housing stock, but there are some common factors, maybe like trees or greenery or color or other things that may unite the look and feel of those homes. And so we want to understand what that is so we can make sure that design of new homes is respectful of the neighborhood. So the next question is about density and good design. So single-family home, so home ownership housing, right, and single-family homes can include things like townhomes or small condominium developments. You can have home ownership options in all of those kinds of housing. And what we really want to think about is what is possible to do with these sites, because ordinarily, these central locations, which near Northside really is a central location, it's right next to downtown. It's really an amazing place to be able to commute to jobs and services and other assets. That's typically, and in this case, it's pretty expensive to both purchase a site there, and then it's also becoming more expensive to build homes. It's construction costs have gone way up over the last year, and that means that it's hard to build just a few homes or a sort of smaller number of homes on these sites, because each one then becomes very expensive in and of itself. So the more homes we're able to build on these sites and creating a mix of housing types will mean that the city's investment helps more people become homeowners. And so what we mean here in terms of design is kind of reflected in some of these pictures at the right. These aren't exactly the homes that would be built, right? But these are sort of the density and scale options that we want to think about and look at is, what about townhomes? What about sort of a small 4-plex or 6-plex that's designed to fit in with the neighborhood rather than to look really different? What about some, just looking at these different kinds of sort of small multifamily options, as well as townhomes, and as well as regular detached single family homes, and thinking about sort of what the mix of that needs to be in order to make sure that we are able to benefit the most people possible with the funding that's being invested in this project while still respecting the neighborhood. So if we look at the next slide here, designing for connection, we want to think about building connectivity into these developments as a key value. This includes things like, having great sidewalks or bike paths, bike trails, connecting those to existing, pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, connecting folks to transit. One of these sites is right next to the Burnett Transit Center, and so that's important. So thinking about how we can build connectivity into these developments, as well as what residents really will need access to, and how that connectivity on site will really start connecting people to the off-site resources that they need to go where they need to go. Designing communal space is our fourth question. So how do we think about green and common spaces that are part of these developments really adding value? And when we say add value, I don't necessarily mean monetary value or money. I mean, how do we add value to the neighborhood and to the community that we're going to build here? And so, you know, you can see a very passive green space that doesn't have a lot going on, doesn't have a lot of shade. It gets less used. So what are some of these aspects like benches or public art that could, you know, become parts of these green spaces and make them be something that's really usable and friendly and reflects the near North Side community? And if we look at the next slide, this is an example of kind of a green space inside one of these developments. This one's in New York. It's a place called Sunnyside Gardens that has some of these kind of smaller, denser options that are kind of townhomes, small multifamily homes. And it has these really great green spaces built into the middle that have really good shade. You know, these aren't super programmed. As you can see, there's not a lot of benches or other things here, but they feel kind of friendly and they feel like a place you might want to spend some time. And so thinking about, you know, how do we build on this kind of idea to make sure that green spaces can really serve the community and be something that is actively used. So the last piece we want to talk about is just questions for you all about who else needs to know about this, right? Who else do we need to make sure that we talk with? Who needs to know about this project? And are there any events you can invite us to before July 21st? Which is again when we're going to kind of close the input process so that we can actually take all the feedback and start incorporating it into the NOFA. Are there any events before then that you'd like folks to attend and make sure that, you know, we can get the word out as widely as possible? So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremiah.
Okay, thank you for everyone who's still with us. We're going to go ahead and end the meeting, but again, I know how hard it is to join during lunch hours, so we really appreciate you joining us today. And you have a great rest of your Thursday and a great weekend. Thank you and take care.